thanks for joining us for our draft league analysis for the FPL. We just finished up our draft. We've got 20 teams to go over. So this is going to be a pretty long video. We'll probably split this up into two different sections. I would like to thank our guests for joining us today. We have Matt Luppy of the Seattle Magearnas joining us.
Bow down to your champion.
Soon to be.
Oh no, reigning. Don't forget season 4 champion.
Reigning and soon to be again. 5. And we have Inaria, our brand new draft league team and thankfully we can cut things. Our brand new analyst joining us as well.
Hey guys, what's up?
And we're absolutely leaving that in the final take.
Yeah, we are. Honestly, I'm probably not going to cut much of this. I'm probably just going to throw it on like I have everything else, because, frankly, the comedy value is pretty high.
We're human, we make mistakes, it's funny.
Yes,
Get over it.
As long as I don't completely lose my mind. So, let's go ahead and get started. We've got 20 teams to get through today. 5 in each division, so we're going to kind of break it up that way. Who wants to take the lead on our first team?
I'm going to leave it to the analyst. It's his job, isn't it?
It kind of is. So, Inaria, why don't you take us through the Hannibal Hoothoots, coached by Chris?
Well, like you said, Hannibal Hoothoots is coached by Chris. His overall record, apparently on draftleague.nl, is 16-6 plus 46. The hell has this guy been doing?
Dominating the FPL. That's just the FPL league stats. In the 2 seasons he's been here, he won the season 3 regular season championship, made playoff both times, always been a top seed, got first round buys. He is one of the top coaches that you have in this league. The CCS 5, one of the top coaches on the site.
Interesting. Well, either way, he has drafted Skarmory, Incineroar, Nihilego, Heracross, Klefki, Meloetta, Serena, Boltund, Quagsire, Dottler, and Latios Mega. The first thing that this team shouts out to me is it's rather significantly bulky.
Yeah, and that's not normally Chris's style.
But if you look at some of these mons, just the synergy that they have with each other, some of them really work well together. You have that Skarmory and the Quagsire protecting each other really well. Lots of hazard opportunities with the Skarmory, the Klefki, the Nihilego, all setting things up. Even Dottler, the webs, don't count that out from tier 5. And all of these things that just set up a game, break some big walls, and let Megaladios just destroy at the end of the game.
Yeah. Chris also has 3 users of Defog, as well as Serena for Rapid Spin. Hazards are really not going to be a problem here.
No, the amount of hazard control that's been drafted is insane.
Good solid speed tiers. We're talking about starting at 121 is a pretty good on the high end.
Yep.
It seems to hit all of those gaps in between down to 10, 3, down to 90. That still fills the gap, but even though those base 100s are going to be able to get through bulk in there. Pretty mixed offensive. Some of these options can go multiple ways between the Megaladios. Meloetta has its alternate form. Interesting offense, for sure.
Yeah, definitely offense that can take a hit. Meloetta and Serena also give very good cleric options in Heal Bell and Aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something I actually wanted to bring up too here. Because that really covers the Quagsire extremely well. One of the easiest ways to take that thing down if you don't have a good grass option is through Toxic, so that actually covers that extremely well as well.
And I also think one thing to note that's really important for this upcoming season of the FPL is that we ban Toxic on every mon that outside of Gen 8 does not learn it naturally. One of those mons is Quagsire, one of the few non-poison types that learns Toxic in this generation. And even though that Nihilego is a poison type, it does not learn Toxic in this gen because it's unreleased, it also gets Toxic spikes. So we're giving Chris the opportunity to be able to poison those big threats in his way that, again, could stand in the way of his Megaladios sweeping at the end. And good decent pivot options on this team too as well. Incineroar getting parting shot this generation could be really useful. A fast turner, full ton. I believe Doppler even gets teleport this generation. Enough to get out there in some ways. Is Meloetta Serena U-turners?
Probably the biggest. I wouldn't really say biggest issue now that I look at it, because a lot of Muns do have self-healing capabilities, but there is no wish whatsoever.
Yeah. One thing I also want to point out here, and this might just be me overlooking something, I'm seeing some pretty huge weaknesses to fire. I mean, you got the Skarmory weak to fire, the Heracross, the Klefki, the Serena, you got the Doppler, so that's 5 out of 11 that are weak to fire. Yes, he does have some switch-ins, but that almost makes it pretty predictable. You're going to have to expect Incineroar or Quagsire every single week. That pretty much fills one of the 6 slots.
Yeah.
Not to mention 3 Psychic types.
Yeah.
Psychic types allows Ghosts and Dark types to run around pretty well, and sure, that puts a lot of pressure on that Incineroar as the only Dark type on this team to take those Ghost type attacks. Meloetta, yes, is a normal type, so it can take some of those Ghost types out of the way, but the Dark type really powerful. But the Heracross can break through the bug and fighting types, and the Klefki can take on the dark types okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's options, but I don't see that there's some big typing weaknesses in this team, which is the only major negative that I see offhand.
Yeah, good coverage can tear this team apart, really. That's the only real issue that I've seen so far. And also keeping Heracross alive long enough to actually be able to do its job.
Right. Yeah, because that is not a particularly bulky boy.
No.
And with no wish passes.
Could take it down pretty easily. The mom with the right coverage, a good fire and ghost type, a Chandelure, or a
chip
a
will
Houndoom.
matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you treat this?
It's good except for those type coverage issues, but those type coverage issues are huge. Just for everybody's reference, we are using a scale of, what was it, S plus to D was the bottom Inaria?
C.
C, okay. I would give this an A or an A minus. It's good. The hazards are there. That's huge. You have a non-poison type toxic user. All of that's fantastic, and the power and the speed tiers are there. I mean, a Scarf Chandelure can walk through this team if it's done correctly, and that's a huge weakness, so I just can't give it above that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd probably say A minus due to the type coverage issue. But other than that, this is a solid draft. A minus for sure for me.
I could stick with that A minus. I'd even drop down to B plus in some way. Yes, it has a lot of pieces, but even if you look at this, the bulk core is excellent. But I think the right mon with the right coverage, I don't know if this team necessarily has the right offense outside of Megaladios to get outside of this. But that being said, reigning MVP went 24-1 last season. Megaladios did, so by no accounts is this a weak team. A minus for sure. And in the hands of Chris, I think he will take a lot out of it.
Absolutely. I think the biggest question is just, this is a playoff level team. The question is it a finals level team? Can he get there this time with this?
To be seen.
Exactly.
All right.
Who's
so
next?
Let's go ahead and move on to the next team. I believe that would be the Driftveil Drapions.
Yes, it is.
Driftveil Drapions.
I can take the point on this one. Driftveil Drapions, coached by a newcomer to the league, Inferno Sam, who participated in the FPL Open this season, as well as some other places alongside the Draft League site. He has drafted a team of Garchomp, Jirachi, Superior, Bisharp, Rotom Heat, Swampert, Galarian Weezing, Drifblim, Girder, Regirock, and Mega Pidgeot. Something about this team right off the bat, some pretty good offensive options. We all know Jirachi's position as a Hacks God, as well as Garchomp. Garchomp still remains to be one of the most potent threats in this game. Yes, it lost the moves, but that still can be made up for the fact that it has so many good coverage options, has mixed attack capabilities, and 102 being able to get a base 100 is still really powerful. Let's not sleep on that Mega Pidgeot. I mean, 121 speed, really fast. 135 special attack with no guard hurricanes, hit like a truck. There are very few switch-ins other than like some rock and steel types. And you have Rotom Heat, which can take on steel types all day. You've got Garchomp that can deal with both of those issues, and Superior that can just come in front of a rock type and can just click contrary leaf storms all day.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal team. Just looking this over at first glance, I love this team. This is the type of team I'd like to draft. I am a little surprised to see that Bisharp in there. I mean, I know it's got good type coverage here. It is the only dark type on this team, which is good. But it lost knockoff. No, it did not lose Sucker Punch. I apologize, but it lost knockoff.
It can't knock off, actually. Keep in mind the rules that we have here.
Right.
Which is one of his biggest rules in there, being able to take a psychic type out of the match completely. But I mean, on a team like this where you have a Jirachi that can resist psychic already, you might be able to patch around that. So maybe Bisharp in tier 3 they found to be a budget option for them.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm still a little surprised to see it, but with that in mind, not by much. And I apologize, folks. I just got out of an OU match, so I'm sitting here thinking about the rules for that, not our actual rules. So yeah, I mean, this team also has absolutely phenomenal hazard control. I mean, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Pokemon with Defog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon with Stealth Rocks. He's got access to Toxic Spikes. The only thing he's really missing here is Webs. But with that Mega Pidgeot and his good speed tiers down the board, I mean, a Scarf Superior, he almost doesn't need the Webs. This is just a solid team all around.
I'm interested to see what he does with this Driftveil. One of the things that makes Driftveil a lot scarier this generation is the addition of Strength Set, allowing it to restore its HP based off the attack stack of its opponent. And Driftveil already is a devastating baton pass user with things like Stockpile, with things like Calm Mind. And giving it the access to its own recovery to get up extra boost before passing, say, defense boosts into a Mega Pidgeot, which can roost and still pass off really powerful attacks, or into something like Jirachi or Garchomp and make them nigh unkillable with their good attack stats, could be really powerful on a team like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've actually been looking at Mega Pidgeot's Smogon page since you brought up the issue with the rock and the steel types. Not sure if you guys knew this thing actually gets Heat Wave for coverage, so it can even have an option when a steel type switches in on it. I'm not sure if that's something anyone else would really expect to see.
Oh yeah, that's a standard set on Mega Pidgeot. You take the U-turn, you take the Roost, Heat Wave, and Hurricane. You can hit just about anything that's not a rock type.
I was looking for rock type coverage. There really isn't much. That's really the only problem this thing has. Yeah. And again, just for reference, we do not have hidden power allowed in this league either. It's just straight up banned.
Good. Get rid of that Band-Aid. Controversial opinion.
I mean, you're not wrong, but that makes a lot of other Pokemon a lot more powerful. I mean, Ferrothorn and Scizor both come to mind immediately.
Yeah, but
we'll talk more about those later.
Weren't we tired about the same stagnant stuff?
But I mean, think about it in terms of this draft. You get like something like losing hidden power makes Swampert a lot safer as a water and ground type. Things can't just tack on HP Grass and be a danger to it, but it also takes away from mons like Superior. Can't touch steel and grass types now at this point. And then, like we talked about before with the losing of Toxic, Swampert almost always ran Toxic. It lost a major move slot on it in a given week. So we're going to see these changing the moves and allowing those bans we're having for this season could affect a lot of the older mons that we've seen and roles that they used to have on these teams. But it's a balanced team. Good offensive capabilities, good speed. We'll have to see what happens. There's a bit of a gap in their speed tiers coming from the Jirachi down to the Rotom Heat. And then Driftveil you're not always going to see really fast, and Bisharp usually doesn't take all of its speed to run Adamant and run Sucker Punch. So maybe some mons in that gap from a 70 to 86 and 86 to 100 might be able to take advantage of this team a little bit.
Yeah.
So how would you guys with this?
well.
I mean, this I think is a lot better coverage than the last team. I'd have to put this a little higher. I think it just has more options. It has slightly better hazard control. I mean, it's just a little bit better all around. I would give this one an A, maybe an A+, but definitely an A.
Well, I didn't really get to touch on much when it came to this team. You two kind of dominated the conversation a little bit.
Sorry, I thought I stepped away from the mic. I thought you had gotten your comments in there.
Nah, I'd not been able to get anything in.
Well, then why don't you get your comments in before we jump into the ratings now?
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. The rating of an A does really seem fair, especially when you consider Garchomp Jirachi, because just look at the amount of versatile sets that you can do with them just on their own. I think that's the big selling point of this team for me, is just how versatile like most of the Pokemon can be.
The only thing that I think is the detriment there, yes, I think a lot of these mons are very versatile.
Except Serperior and
do
Bishop.
different things. I think that he's going to end up bringing a lot of the same mons every week. I think we're going to see a lot of Garchomp, Jirachi, Rotom Heat, and Pidgeot. And from there, I don't think you might see a lot of wheezing if you've got an opposing
Dragon type with coverage for Jirachi. I think we'll probably see a lot of Serperior because it's a fast mon in between Mega Pidgeot and Garchomp. You might see a lot of Swampert if the rocks for a given week to be defensive, so Jirachi and Garchomp can get more offensive. I don't know. Bisharp, I think, is going to be matchup based. I mean, it lost a lot of its capability of really walling and trapping psychic types, and I don't know how much we'll see out of the Driftveil Drapions and Regirock. I think we might see a lot of the same 7-8 Pokemon for Inferno Sand. We just see how he wants to build for it. I think this is an A-, maybe an A. I do see the different versatility options that you guys have here, but I think it comes into a lot of I haven't seen Inferno play a lot. So we'll have to see how he drives a team like this. I think I'm going to put him online with Chris with an A- here.
It's like Mew syndrome, isn't it? It's like sometimes there are too many options, but you always see the same trend.
Exactly. Now, granted, I think it gives something like Jirachi not having to run a bulky set all the time, or something like Garchomp not having to run offensive all the time. But how creative can he get with these sets? We'll have to see. So I'm going to stick to an A-, I think, here. And you guys can take your A's.
Yep.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Okay. Then, I say we move on to a past champion.
I'm inclined to agree.
Champion, Atlanta Firehawks. Hey, Buck, why don't you talk to us a little bit about JDMI and his team?
Yes, absolutely. As Matt just said, JDMI was our Season 2 champion. He has a very good record on the site from the FPL, 21-14 at +34. He's absolutely a threat. He has drafted Dragonite, Tapu Koko, Cinderace, Bronzong, Chestnut, Alolan Muck, Frostmoth, Sandaconda, Golbat, Galarian Stunfisk, and Magearnas. This team has a lot of threats on it, a lot of offensive threats on it. That Dragonite can put in a lot of offensive work with the surprisingly high physical attack stat. Tapu Koko, we all know, is an extremely big physical threat. It's a special threat. It can really pivot there on either side. It's also a good pivot. Cinderace is another huge physical offensive threat. Gyarados, of course, we all know Dragon Dance. But there's a couple of things I do see on this team immediately that worry me. First off, his speed tiers are not great. Sure, Tapu Koko is 130 and Cinderace is 119. But the next one is Mega Gyarados at 81. Yes, Dragon Dance does boost that, but he's got to get in to get that set up, which is a problem. And the other thing I see is he very heavily leans towards the physical offense. If you look down at the bottom, his total physical offense is 1160. His total special offense is 869. So he doesn't really have options for physically bulky Pokemon, or at least not as many.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. His best special attackers, his top 3 special attackers, the first one is Frostmoth, which, yes, it's 125 special attack. That's pretty good. Until you realize it has 65 speed and non-existent defenses, and 2 4-times weaknesses. I don't think you can justify bringing Frostmoth every single week. After that is Dragonite at 100, and if you run a special Dragonite, power to you. If you can find the right matchup for it, by all means. But special Dragonite is not going to come every week, which means that your most often special attacker is going to need to be Tapu Koko, which does not want to be a special attacker all the time either. And even if it is, it's only 95. And with the nerf to electric terrain this generation, for those of you who don't know, the last gen, when you were in terrain and you used like an electric type move, when you were in electric terrain like Tapu Koko, it would get an extra 1.5 times boost, like a second stat. This generation is only 1.3, and that weakens Tapu Koko's offensive capabilities. So I think, yes, very powerful physical attackers here. Things like Magearnas and Dragonite and Cinderace, terrifying. But that lack of special threat allows opponents in builds to be able to ignore some of the special defense, maybe not bring an Assault Vest on this one, and just really pile on the physical defense.
I want to stress that Cinderace is Blaze only, I believe?
Blaze only, yes. Libero's unreleased and therefore is not allowed, and if it were, we probably would ban it anyways.
Yeah, I don't think it would be in Tier 2 if Libero was allowed.
No.
Right. Other than that, did you know Dragonite can have Heal Bell?
I learned that when I scrolled down earlier as well.
Same.
Yes. There are plenty of defog options. None particularly want to use it other than maybe Golbat and Coco. And setting up rocks is very limited with this team. It really doesn't have much of a hazard game.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of Spikes Chestnut in this in order to come out from there. And Bronzong is an excellent rocker, let's not doubt that. But then you could count on Bronzong coming every single week with Stealth Rocks. Again, in prep, that makes it easier. That being said, though, JDMI in the FPL Open did draft Sandaconda and used it to relative success. So he has experience with the Mon. Maybe he'll use it a little more so. But I mean, there's still some big threats here. A Dragon Dancing Dragonite or Megagyarados still can run through some teams.
Oh, in theory and in calcs, this team can do an absolute ton of damage. It's just, can it do that in practice when other people are prepping for the team?
Yeah, this is the type of team I'd more expect to see on ladder, because people are going to be bringing specially defensive Mons regardless. One thing I do really want to point out here is this team has an absolute glut of priority options. I know we haven't talked about that in the last two teams, but the number of priority options I see here are absurd. And I mean, we even have tight coverage ones. We have Sucker Punch. We have Aqua Jet. I mean, this team can really pull cleanup if you can get opponents level.
We'll see what happens. I actually think Golbat, we're going to see a lot of Golbat this season, which terrifies me. We won't get into my pure fear of Golbat. But I mean, Megagyarados, really afraid of fighting types. I mean, if you want to bring electric types for it, I mean, he does have 2 ground types, so there is always the fear there. Golbat being probably his best defogger, and it does get surprisingly bulky with that Eviolite, and with knockoff. Yeah, knockoff's still around the way that we know it, but being able to knock off a Golbat, sometimes you can lose some momentum as it goes in U-turns or defogs or roofs on you. I actually think you'll see a lot of Golbat. It's a Mon I know that he's used before, and like he might get some work out of it. But the fact that we're talking about Golbat being the crux of his defensive core here
is a problem.
Might be an issue. It's a bit of a problem. We'll see. I would give this team a B something, maybe a B minus. I might go with a standard B. Some really good offensive options. There's no one's going to argue with Dragonite, Cinderace, Tapu Koko, Megagyarados. But after those 4, I think this team is missing something.
Yeah, the first 4 are really solid, and then after that, it kind of just trails off. I'd agree. Definitely a B.
Yeah, this is one of the few I'd actually gotten a chance to take notes on beforehand, and I had this one at a B minus, and I'm going to stick to that. I just really think the lack of special threats in the bad speed tiers, it's going to be really, really hard to overcome. I mean, I have faith JDMI can potentially do it, but it's going to be really hard to overcome.
And also, we are marking this on draft rather than the coach.
That's true.
Yeah.
JDMI, you might be an absolutely amazing player, but your team is a little bit lackluster, according to us. Good luck, my friend.
Let's see what you can do with it, man. Let's see what you can do. All right, next up, Kansas City Kingdras. And maybe in post-edit we might have to blur out some things because they played their week 1 match already.
Oh, don't worry, I don't scroll down that far.
Excellent. Well, they still have their stats on the side. You'll see it on the left and on the right side as well because they're new to the league. Overall record, 1-0. Ah, crap.
Nice!
Good work.
Overall record, non-existent. Besides the one match that we're not talking about.
There you go.
You want to talk a bit about their team and not how they played all?
Right. First of all, their draft. Manaphy, Cresselia, Alolan Ninetales, Cobalion, Dragage, Galvantula, Marowak Alola, Rillabooma, Hitmontop, Ordino, and the Aerodactyl Mega. And yes, I said that for a reason.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, Rillabooma.
What do you think about Inaria? What jumps out?
What? Like, the first thing that jumps out to me is, why the hell do you have so many things around the same speed tier?
Yes, I noticed that too.
It goes from 150 with Mega Aerodactyl, which is absolutely phenomenal, down to 109. And then drops to 108, which doesn't drop. So it stays at 108. And then eventually it goes down to 100. It's just, you've got so many mons around the same speed tier, and yet nothing to bridge the gap.
If I have a mon that's 110 or faster, I'm set. I outspeed so many things. And I mean, even if you get below these 100, I mean, are you going to scarf a Cresselia at 85? No, probably not. Am I scarfing a Hitmontop at 70? No, probably not. And once I get down from that 70, the only things left are Ordino, Alolan Marowak, and Dragage. And I'm not scarfing any of those either. Rillaboom at 85, we probably could see scarf now, but that's something I can now have in the back of my mind. That's his prime scarfer besides the ones that are over 100. And even things like Cobalion you're not going to scarf all the time, and Ninetales you're not going to scarf all the time.
And Manaphy, why would you scarf?
Rain is a +1, so it might need to scarf a lot of the time, and now I've got his whole team down to 2 or 3 scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed that. On the positive side of this team, though, dear Lord, the recovery and cleric options. This is the best we've seen so far.
Heal bell, heal bell, heal bell, wish.
Yeah. And Aldino is a solid wish passer. I mean, it can be pretty bulky when you get down to it.
Base 103 HP? Hell yes.
God, this team is fat.
It really is, though.
I'm looking at all three. The Aldino, Hitmontop with the Intimidate, things like Dragage and Cobalion actually deal with each other really well. Cobalion can take the dragon attacks. Really good physical defense for the Cobalion, really good special defense for the Dragage. Ground types issue, Cresselia. Done. Mega Aerodactyl can come in too as well. And Cresselia, half the time, I think it should be banned in every league. Losing Toxic is huge. Let's not forget that. Cresselia has lost Toxic. It can't 1v6 your entire team.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness for that. Some things to note. Positives. Mega Aerodactyl. Amazing mod. Love me some B52. Really powerful mod. Can run a lot of different moves. Really can tailor every week, and that speed stat, you never have to run max speed. You rarely ever need to go up to that 150, but if you do, you actually outspeed a lot of low-tier Scarfers. Your 70s and 80s, I think it can get close to some of the 80s. I think it's about 83. Anything base 83 and lower as a Scarf still cannot outspeed that Magearnas. Excellent mon, especially that plus 20.
And need I call any attention to the hazard control? I believe everything except from regular spikes is there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of mons that have hazard control, but the variety is there, and that's what you really need.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, though. The removal options are Magearnas. You do not want to give defog. You want to run this as many attacks as possible and roost when you have the chance.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're spinning with Hitmontop.
You just gotta hope that a ghost doesn't show up.
Exactly. A ghost shows up and you're in problem. But then again, you run Magearnas on the other end, you run Crunch, and it's dealt with. We'll see, though. That team with Aurora Veil from Ninetales, really good option. It can allow something like a Manaphy, which I'm going to note might be his only real special attacker here. Trigalgy and Galvantula, yes, they have higher special attack. They're only at 97. They don't hit that strong until you get some items on them. Although Trigalgy with the adaptability, we'll note that. But you get Manaphy behind Veil, and you give it that chance to get up a Tail Glove, and it will hurt your team.
More than team, it will feel like you got run over by a truck in real life.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen before, and it's disgusting when it does.
I used it last season. It's excellent. Manaphy and Magearnas I had together on the same team, that championship-winning team last year, and I do recommend it as an offensive core, and I think Kingdras learned from the best, and is off to a very good start this season. I think it's a solid team. It's a bulky team. I think it's lacking some offense, especially on the special attacking side, but we'll have to see. I think it'll be bulky, it'll be annoying, and it'll be tough to break through, especially with the good cleric options. But I think this team will struggle to keep up offensively with some others.
May I also call attention over to the priority sector, and like 90% of that is Hitmontop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit, I didn't realize.
Hitmontop has about every priority move you can think of. Except maybe Aquajet.
I was about to say, it's missing Aquajet and that's it. I did not realize this.
It doesn't get extreme speed either.
It should get extreme speed. You seen how fast that thing spins?
I know.
Yeah, that's why it's got rapid spin. Duh.
Doesn't need it.
Okay. Let's talk to ratings here.
Yeah, let's talk gradings. Me... I really see an issue with just how much this team takes from hazards. I mean, heavy duty boots is a fantastic item, but Ninetales, weak. Galvantula, weak. Marowak-A-Lolo, weak. Magearnas, weak. All of them weak to Stealth Rocks. It just... I don't like how weak this team is to Stealth Rock.
That just means that Hitmontop is coming every single week.
Pretty much. So this will be my lowest rating yet. I will have to say that this team is a B-. Maybe a C+.
No, it's not that low. I was going to give this a B. I think it's got a really good bulk core. I think just the thought of an Audino passing wishes to a Cresselia has me dying a little bit on the inside.
Yes, it's fantastically bulky and it can and will live. My problem is, what's it gonna do back?
I think I see some additional options here. I think the Manaphy and the Aerodactyl have really good offensive options. I think they'll be pressured. And I think that Ninetales actually offensively, yes, the stat is low, but it can be done in multiple ways. It has Calm Mind, it has Nasty Plot. I've actually drafted and used it as a Specs user a couple times. It can hit decently hard with good stab. I think it has some good options here. I don't think by anything it's great. I think a B is right. And I think it will struggle with some teams that have some walls that it can't quite break through. But I think there are some good bones here. I think that they can use this team right with the right setup.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. I have to lean a little more with Inaria. I would not say it's anywhere near a C+, but I'd have to give it a B-. Because the other thing you gotta consider is, with that many mons weak to Stealth Rock, you also have that many mons weak to Rock-type moves. So this thing does also have a type coverage hole. That's really what pushes me down to a B- for me. But I am also a little biased towards thicker teams, and this definitely hits that, and I can see this doing pretty well. I'm with Inaria. I don't like the hazard issues. I don't like the hazard removal basically just being Hitman top. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this team can do. And I mean, that Manaphy is really the only special attacker I see here.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comments?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, for the record, it's a B- and not a C+. I said maybe C+.
Okay.
So it is B- for the official one.
Okay. 2 B-. I will take a B.
Yep.
And we will move on to last season's runner-up. Shout out Ginger of the E-Town Escavaliers. Runner-up to myself last year in Season 4. Had an excellent season. I believe was the winner of the Grass Type Award for Most Improved Coach. And he's come out here with a team. Let me tell you, he has Dragapult, Mamoswine, Tangrowth, Crobat, regular Darmanitan, Mantine, Silvally, Comfey, Magneton, Licky Licky, and Mega Diancie. There is a lot of offense here. There is some good mods. That Dragapult nearly got banned. It is fast. It can hit on both sides. It has good coverage. U-turn. It has T-Wave and Will-O-Wisp and Disable for some defensive options. It can run both ways. Really good mod. And that Mega Diancie runs mixed every week, and you don't have switch-ins to it because Fairy and Rock offensively are really good. Hurt by losing Hidden Power. It definitely likes to have Hidden Power Fire for some of those steel types. I like having Hidden Power Ice for some grass types that I struggled to get through. But it and Dragapult and Mamoswine hits like a truck and Darm hits like a truck. There are some good mons here. It is a powerfully strong team.
And let's also not forget some of the defensive options that he has here. I mean, Mega Diancie is no defensive slouch, even with that 50 HP. He has the Eviolite Magneton, which can get up there, same exact thing. Mantine is bulky as hell. I've run that 3 or 4 times. He also has Tangrowth as a regenerator. So, I mean, not only is this thing blazingly offensive, this thing can take a hit, too.
I'm just gonna be scrolling down here and showing out the hazard control. Defog, Defog, Magic Bounce, 2 Stealth Rock, Defog, Defog. You are never going to have anything up on Ginger's side.
That being said, you just said he's got 2 Stealth Rock users, Mamoswine and Mega Diancie. And I'm going to tell you right now, neither of those really want to run Rock. Yes, the Sash Mamoswine lead is pretty option, but you don't want to run that all the time. Sometimes I want to be Scarf, sometimes I want to be Banded, sometimes I want to be Adamant Life Orb. I'm going to hit you in the face. Mamoswine sometimes runs into that bit of move slot syndrome because it has really good coverage. There's some new moves it learned this generation. You got Heavy Slam. That thing is a big boy as it is. It hurts. It can get through some bulky fairies that it has right now. But it doesn't want Stealth Rocks. It doesn't have that move slot for Stealth Rocks. And Mega Diancie, especially if you go for like that offensive Rock Polish set, or sometimes it wants Protect to get the Mega off and get some hazards bounced back the other way. And to get the coverage around on it, it doesn't always have room for Stealth Rock. So I think it's going to struggle getting some hazards up. But you take that with the fact that he also can break through you with plenty of mod. This team is no short of wall breakers here.
And also no short of answers to you putting status on it. Licky and Comfey
the number of options here is stupid.
are perfectly fine with doing some healing, and Licky can even pass on a wish to Dom if it gets low from Flare Blitzing.
Now, one thing I do want to say on the hazards, though, before we move on, that Comfy, yeah, half of the hazard, or not the hazard, sorry, the cleric options, half of the status removal is Comfy, and Comfy 9 times out of 10 isn't going to want to be running. So really, it does have a lot of options. He could run Comfy with a heal bell or an aromatherapy to kind of catch someone off guard, but mostly it's going to be that Licky that is the cleric on this team. So it's really not as good as it looks on paper.
Well, we'll have to see about the Comfy because it too
lost hidden power.
That's a good point, actually.
So that calm mindset that's been run previously with Draining Kiss and with Giga Drain, sometimes it didn't want to take the Giga Drain and it would take an HP fire because otherwise you get hard wall by steals. Now, it's hard wall by steals.
Yeah, no, you absolutely raise a good point. So we actually might see that in that 4th slot instead. Maybe the calm mindset with aromatherapy or heal bell. So that's actually a really good point.
Worth noting, speed tiers, good.
Oh, yeah.
Dragapult, really fast. Down to the Crobat 130, yeah. And Crobat can be bulky, so it might not even take all that speed. So it can even drop down and fill that gap down to the 110 with the Mega Diancie. 100 with Comfey won't always take it, but the fact that it's there and you can run the extra speed, plus the fact that it has triage for the priority, still will go with anyone. A couple of 95s, an 80, a 70. You're hitting all those gaps here. And I don't think you'll be able to cheat your way through some of Ginger's mons that easily.
Without a doubt. This team's going to hit hard, hit fast, and maybe even knock some people out of the competition.
And take some hits, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he can run bulky or he can run offensive every week. So you have almost too much to prep for. This team is gnarly.
Yeah.
And it's got a bit analyst bias. I'm more partial to the offensive teams, while Haybook here is more partial to the defensive teams. This is my favorite so far.
It's okay. We got some more teams coming up soon.
Yeah. Well, let's put some ratings to the paper.
A+ or S-. It's a good team. It lacks some holes. Stealth Rocks maybe could be the issue. It's missing them up, and if you get them up for a little bit, you got to go into a Crobat or Mantine to get rid of them. It'll hurt, but you got to do them in the face of Mega Diancie with Mega Bounce. It's a risk. I'm going to go A+. I'm going to give this an A+. Really good offensive options. I could even be tickled into that S-. Maybe I have to hear what you two have to say.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm going to give this an A+. This would be an S- if it for the fact that it had the lack of options to get rocks out there. No real lack of options. But no, this is absolutely an A+. I think this is his best team he's drafted yet, and he was a very worthy winner of that grass type award. He's definitely a contender.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with the both of you. Without a dedicated stealth rocker, it just doesn't quite hit that pinnacle of the S. It's an A+.
It's close, though. It's close.
Very close.
It's a good team. It's a really good team. I'd like to see what he has to do with it.
Good luck, Ginger. Now you've got all the pressure of us liking your team.
And speaking of pressure and teams that he doesn't want to face, I know who's next.
Yeah,
I know it's my team, and I will not talk too much about it. I'm going to sit back on this one. I'm going to give Haybuck point on this. I'll make some comments about my draft, so I don't want to give away all my secrets.
Well, why don't you tell everyone what your team name is then?
I can. I am Matt Luca. I'm the coach of the Seattle Magearnas. I have been in the FPL since Season 1. I am the reigning champion of Season 4 and was the regular season champions in Season 1 and 2. I have the highest CCS in the league. I'm also the most handsome.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. And you're not in the league. Technically, you are not either.
not in this one, no.
I'm just gonna say, who says I was talking about myself?
That's true. That's true. Okay, let's step back. Hey, want to talk about my team?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me steal this from you. So first thing I want to say, overall record 29-10 and plus 92, which is just absolutely disgusting. I just want to highlight that a little bit. I know he said that he has the highest CCS in the league. That is not an understatement. So this team has Zera Aura, Fortress, Gudra, Grimsnarl, Salazzle, Tornadus Incarnate, Toxicroak, Reunigris, or
Runerigus.
I think is the community's opinion on it.
Runerigus. I like Runerigus. Cradilly, Valerian Mr. Mime, and Mega Blastoise. So I just want to say, Mega Blastoise is a threat. It is a huge threat. It is terrifying, and this team does nothing but support that threat. I mean, you got Gudra that can switch in to take the grass hits. You got Zero Aura, which is immune to electric, can switch in to take those hits. Those are really the only two major weaknesses. You've got Prankster, Tornadus to get some extra speed if needed, to let that Blastoise get the Shell Smash off to set up. And there's huge bulk in Fortress, and there's huge setup ability in Fortress. This team is gnarly.
Yes, this league allows Shell Smash Mega Blastoise currently this season.
We might change that next season.
I have no doubts that this is going to be changed. But this team, this is a nightmare for anyone that wants to face it. There's just so much pressure from so many different Pokemon here. And the speed tiers are great. 143 down to 117, and then 111. Like, you really aren't going to have a chance to run Adamant or Modest on pretty much anything here. And with Fortress there, what are hazards?
Yeah, I was about to say. Go ahead, talk about your own team. What was that?
I have hazards. I have them all. I don't have webs. I will say I don't have webs, but with a team like this, I can smash. I've got Zera Aura, super fast. Like you said, Prankster Tailwind. I don't need the webs.
No,
so Fortress can just be a walking hazard, or a rolling hazard.
I was going to say, you don't need the webs. And one thing I just want to say here, which is something I've seen maybe twice on league teams, there are two options for Toxic Spikes here. Runerigus, and I probably pronounced that wrong again, and Fortress. They both have Toxic Spikes, which is disgusting.
I don't care if the community likes Runerigus, it's still Runerigus to me.
That's amazing. One thing I do want to talk about with the hazard, though, you got Mega Blastoise with Rapid Spin, which I wouldn't imagine you really want to be running that, especially with Shell Smash as a better speed option.
You don't really need to run Shell Smash. That's just another tool to add on to his already phenomenal moveset, really.
Just because I can smash in your face and you know that I can smash in your face doesn't mean I'm going to smash in your face. That's just an extra prep nightmare that you have to deal with. What if I just go max HP, max defense Blastoise and you can't kill it? And it still hits your face because it's a Mega Launcher.
Okay, I'm going to continue that. Then you got Valerian Mr. Mime with Rapid Spin, which, I'm not going to lie, not that I don't understand the point of this Mon on this team, I don't understand the point of this Mon and sentence. Then you got Tornadus Incarnate with Defog. There's not a ton of removal options. The real hazard...
Fortress spins? I
missed that. Never mind. I take back that comment. I completely missed Rapid Spin with the 4 images of Fortress in front of my face.
It's a walking hazard. It is hazard control. Look at that ball. That ball is hazard control.
That is an entire moveset right there. Rapid Spin, Spike, Stealth Rock, Toxic Spike. Done.
And you can't taunt it to cancel it out because it's got the Rapid Spin.
True. I can just Rapid Spin and just get super fast and then lay all the hazards anyways.
Now, the biggest
problem with killing that.
The biggest problem with this team, in my opinion, is definitely the Cleric options. Anything gets toxic here, and pretty much everything but Salazzle and Fortress can get toxic, and Toxicroak. It pretty much will stay unless Rest's used.
Yeah, completely fair. I noticed that myself.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. Salazzle and Toxicroak, even if they could be toxic, those aren't the ones that Toxic's going to be targeting. They're not particularly bulky. You can usually take them out with just a hit. Toxic's usually targeting the bulkier things like Fortress, which that's a problem. That's a huge problem for anyone prepping for this.
And Runeregus and Cradilly.
Oh, shit. Yeah, but those can be toxic.
Yeah.
It's just...
To note, though, there is one cleric option that actually this site does not properly reflect.
Refresh with Mega Blastoise.
No, refresh is banned, so that's not allowed. Mr. Mime Jr. gets Healing Wish as an egg.
Really?
But
Mr.
does that
Mime
transfer
gets
over
Healing
to
Wish.
Galarian?
Mm-hmm. I looked this up. Mime Jr. gets Healing Wish as an egg move.
Holy...
Well, if that transfers into Galarian Mr. Mime, then
I've seen it allowed somewhere.
Then that will be fantastic.
On Showdown, it was allowed. Mime can spin. Mime can set screens. Mime has 100 base speed, and let's not forget the fact. Remember how we talked about how Alolan Ninetales is a bit of an offensive threat? This is a higher special attack than Alolan Ninetales with the same coverage options. Actually, more coverage options. It has Keeple. It has Energy Ball. It has Dazzle Gleam to get the fairy coverage. It gets Stab Psychic moves. It gets Shadow Ball. I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to use Galarian Mr. Mime to sweep somebody. I'm going to bring Spectre, Scarf, Galarian Mr. Mime. I'm going to sweep somebody.
Right,
It might be this week.
You heard it here, folks. If there isn't a sweep by Mr. Mime, then...
Forfeit Season 5 Championship.
Alright.
Right, you better be careful.
Now...
Okay, now, I do want to say, if you're accurate about Healing Wish, even Smogon doesn't acknowledge that, so you should submit a correction, because Smogon does not show this Mon getting that. So, I hope you're right, because that would be amazing. Literally no one would prep for it.
So it's like a gray area kind of thing, because while Mime Jr. does get it as an egg move, it gets it as an egg move in prior gen. I think because it gets it from Lopunny, which doesn't exist in Gen 8 yet, so...
Then, yeah, that
it's
would...
It's allowed, but it's not allowed.
Yeah, that would be...
I'm actually checking that right now.
It might be a bank thing, so I might not get Healing Wish, which would be super sad.
As far as I'm aware, you cannot breed down transfer moves onto Mons in Gen 8.
I'm looking at it right now on Showdown. Straight up, the tier does not allow it. Now, if you wait until Home comes out, that might actually still work, but I don't think it's not going to fly this season.
Rip.
Rip.
The priority is very good, though, for this team. But it's mostly Toxicroak and Grimmsnarl that are going to be making advantage of that.
Well, plus Grimmsnarl and Tornadus get Prankster, so there's plenty of priority in that comes with it. With the speed control coming anyway, too.
True.
Yeah, this team's... If I were to give this team a motto, the team's motto would just be, I go first.
No, this team's motto is... gun emoji, turtle emoji.
Okay, it can have two. It can have two mottos.
Give me some ratings. Let's move on.
I was about to say, yeah. I'm actually going to give this one the S-. This team is absolutely disgusting, and I don't think I need to say anything.
I'm going to stick with what I said in the little example that Matt asked me to do to showcase how this was going to go, and I'm going to give it an A.
Yeah, that's pretty varied. I'm just looking at this, and I would never want to fight this. I'm gonna have to stick with it despite that. So
that's fair enough. We both feel differently about it. That's perfectly valid.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Besides my bias, S+++,
doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. The team has holes. Yes, it's missing cleric options. Yes, it's very much so based around getting Mega Blastoise to win, but it has other options to win too. I think I've got a lot of the pieces here. I would have given this team, without knowing my bias, probably an S- as well. Again, though, super biased, so we won't even count it.
Yeah. I guess that averages to an A+ then.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess.
All right. So Inaria, I believe you're up next for our next team, the Bangkok Bisharps.
I believe this is coached by Hammy G, who I have played before and I have a pretty good rapport with. I like the guy.
Yeah, I love him. Excellent battler, and he actually is probably one of the people I rely on most in building.
Yeah, he's a fantastic person, fantastic coach. I believe that he's going to do well, no matter what grade we give him here.
Yeah, we're all pumped to have him in the league anyways, but he's got a good team to go with it too.
Yeah, which is Ferrothorn, Salamence, Diggersby, Scolipede, Florges, Greninja, only Torrent, Ditto, Miss Magius, Passimian, Electivire, and Mega Slowbro. Discuss.
After you.
I know, hence the laugh. Now, Greninja and Scolipede being the fastest Pokemon in this team doesn't really concern me one bit. They do very, very different things. Greninja's going to hit you with all the special stuff, while Scolipede hits you with the physical stuff. The best thing about the both of them is they have completely different move coverages and can hit anything together. Put that on top the defense that can be gained from having Ferrothorn and Florges together. That's 4 Mons, and I already don't want to fight this team. Put on top Salamence, who is an insanely good damage dealer, and Dragon in general, and Diggersby with that huge power. This team is just... I don't even know what to say about it, really.
When he started drafting this, he started off with Ferrothorn into Florges, into Mega Slowbro, and we all puked a little bit. But then, he, from that point on, drafted not only pure offense, things like the Ments and the Diggersby, the Scolipede, the Gren. He also drafted the scariest Mon in all of Draft League, and that's Ditto. Because normally, you only have to prep for 11 Mons. When you are facing a Ditto,
you've got to prep for your own
other 10
team.
Mons that they have, and all 11 of your Mons. And he can just counter sweep you with, if you want to set up, if you've got that Mega, you're going all in, and I'm Chris, I've got 3 Dragon Dances up, and I sweep your team, and it's over. Ditto comes in and says, nah, I sweep. And it's over. Plus, we can talk about the fact, Florges passes wishes and aromatherapy to the rest of this team. Scolipede passes speed to the rest of this team. You give speed boost to a Diggersby, though,
You lose.
you lose. You kind of just lose. Now, granted, Diggersby lost return. Diggersby lost its best normal stat. It still has Earthquake. It still has, I think, Body Slam as its backup or Strength. And it has Quick Attack still for the priority stat. It's a good Mon, but with speed, the one thing that keeps back out of you can Scarf it or you can Band it. You can Sword Stance or you can Agility. Now it can run Adamant Band and get the speed. Scary.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can say about this team that hasn't said. This is just disgusting. It has a lot of defensive options. It has a lot of just disgusting offensive options. And the fun thing is, I was talking to Hammy about his draft plans early on. He got sniped like 6 times leading up to this, and he wound up coming out with one of the most disgusting teams I've seen yet. So kudos to him for being able to come up with backup plans.
I just want to question, who allowed Baton Pass?
We did.
Yeah, our bad.
Well, that being said, I've had Scolipede before and tried to use it. I had speed passing into Lele when it was allowed. It's not as easy as you think.
I've speed passed with a Scolipede into a Hooper U and kind of swept to finals.
Yeah. Granted, he doesn't have something like the Hooper U here, but he could definitely pass some speed into a Salamence and you're in trouble.
Yep.
He could definitely pass some speed into, I don't know, a Mega Slowbro.
Oh, that sounds horrifying.
No! No!
I've passed speed into a Snorlax before and swept 6-0. It happens. It's scary. It's a good option to have.
Hammy, if you watch this, please don't give me nightmares.
Oh God.
I think.
Plus, I mean, if he's going up against that Mega Aerodactyl, if he's going up against B2, pass the speed into the Greninja. You can still spec the thing and outspeed it. You can just click surf.
If you take the hit. That's the one thing. Some of the mons I would really like can predict that the Greninja or the Passimian's coming in and you hit it right, it just dies. And then you've lost your chance to pass with.
Yeah.
Or Scolipede just keeps it itself in Swords Dances and kind of just runs through your team anyways. It has solid coverage. It losses and moves, that's a big deal. But still has 100 base attacks, still Swords Dances, still gets all the speed, and still ends your life.
Now, I do want to bring attention to the hazards. Ferrothorn seems to be the only one that really wants to run any of these hazards. I mean, granted, you might see the occasional Greninja throw out the spikes and maybe the toxic spikes from a Scolipede, depending on the set, but not a lot of them are going to really do it much or often.
And the removal options aren't fantastic either.
Yeah, it's Florges or Salamence. Florges, yeah, you'll probably see more defog with that, but then you're going to expect it to run defog.
Exactly, and you'll expect the Ferrothorn to always run rocks because it's the only one that rocks. So if he wants rocks, bring it Ferrothorn.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, that almost forces 2 members of his team. At least you almost have to expect the floor just every single week, but you're going to see the Ferrothorn probably 9 weeks out of 10.
And the Florges has got to be very passive to be able to really do much, considering the rest of this team. I think it can be fairly abused.
Mm.
But then again, I have a ditto. You want to abuse my Florges, you want to set up in my face, I have a ditto. You want to hazard stack my team with with a fortress, I have a ditto. And he can use that ditto and get whatever pieces that he needs and try to take advantage of himself being taken advantage. Needs to be done right, but the fact that the option is there is
Absolutely.
It just seems like a lot of work for it to be able to pull it off.
It does.
Hammy might be able to do it. No doubt that Hammy might be able to do it, but I don't think that's really a selling point if it takes that much work.
How would you guys read this?
I'm going to give this an A+. This is one of I could be nudged to an S-. This is just a phenomenal team. The only real major issue here is the removal. If it had just slightly more removal, I would definitely give this an S- or maybe an S. But this is an A+ to me.
Yeah, definitely. This is straight up an A+, purely down to the hazard control.
Yeah, the hazards are the only thing that holds us back. I think the team really covers each other well. Again, that Mega Slowbro getting things like the Ferrothorn and the Electivire to defend it and the Florges to defend it. We've got plenty of offensive options, setup options, text, powerful options, on passing, and a ditto just to take advantage of whatever you try to make. A lot of good options here in the hand of a good coach, powerful team, and I think Andy could be that quality coach.
Right.
A+, across the board.
Yep. All right. So next up, I believe we have the Chicago Bears.
Yep. Shout
again ever since Season 1. Runner-up in Season 2, a 22-14 record, plus 45 on the site. One of our top coaches and well-respected in this league, and we all like him very much. And he has no qualms about what team that he is running this season. Because let me tell you, he has Dracovish, Magearnas, Haliburton, Eldonhouse, Phalanx, Kingdras, Zorark, Helios, Kabutops, Pyroar, and Megasuperd. He's bringing rain. He is bringing rain 9 times out of 10, and he's got every single thing that looks good in that rain. With enough variation to make it work off of it, too. But we can start with that very first mon on the screen. He's got a Dracovish, and he's putting it in the rain. Those you don't know.
I would like to correct you. He doesn't have a Dracovish. He has a Fishious Rend.
He has Fishious Rend. That's it. It's not a real mon. It's just a move. That's a Scarf and/or Banded Fishious Rend in the rain. For those of you that don't know, an unboosted, so Adamant, no choice band, an Adamant Dracovish in the rain with Fishious Rend, Oko's Toxic.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. It all comes to pass. And for those of you that know what Toxic does, it sits in front of you until you die. So for me to take on that has a resistant move to it, it's a water type against the bulkiest of bulky water types. And I'm going to hit you with this water type move anyways. And I'm going to kill you anyways. It is disgusting. You basically now force every single team to find a water immunity or some way to outspeed Dracovish while still taking it. It's gonna force so much prep. And you do all that prep, and then he comes around you. You're the Helio stacks and you die to death. You perhaps swap with the physical Dracovish or the physical Swamper. He's got both sides of the spectrum here. And plenty of rain sweepers and options for outside of it too. It's a good rain.
I would like to point out here that I did a neutral calc of Banded Dracovish in the rain using Fishious Rend against an Umbreon. And it did more than Banded Guerrilla Tactics Darmanitan.
Wow. Okay. Wow. It is. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna try to find a negative. I think the one I can see is, yes, Dracovish or Fishious Rend incarnate up there forces a crap load of prep, but you can just realistically, he's always gonna bring a Pelipper. He's always gonna bring a Dracovish. He's always gonna bring either a Swampert or a Kingdra, probably both. If he doesn't bring one of those, it's going to be Heliolisk. You almost always have 4 to 5 mons that you know you're prepping for. So you're really the only variance is that last slot. And that could be, is the last one going to be Eldegoss, Phalanx, Zorark, or Pyroar? That's really the only question you have when prepping.
I mean, you could say that. It's a heavy rain team, but it's not like this team can't operate outside of the rain. I mean, don't forget, he's got Phalanx, and we allowed no retreat. It has an Omni-boosting move. Yeah, it can't switch out, but it's got good coverage. Every single stat will be boosted. Strong mod. You break through a team, you get a couple of those, and then you come back and then, hey, I've got a Cryptra coming on the outside. I've got a Pyre, which honestly, Pyroar, a fire tank, that can kind of operate in the rain. It has its other stat and Hyper Voice. It has things like Solar Beam. It could run with a Power Herb. You take advantage of other water types trying to sit in that rain. It can counter some steel types that try to take advantage of that rain as well. This team doesn't have to sit in rain. When it's in rain, it's powerful and requires so much. But he could come outside the rain and deal with it if need be. And he has hazard options. He could take the rocks out of the Metagross or out of the Kabutops if need be. I feel like it's a lot of pressure on Metagross. Removal options in Eldegoss and Pelipper. And I think Kabutops can spin. Can Kabutops spin?
Yeah, I
It can spin. So it's a team that can operate outside of range, I think. I might be wrong, but I look at this team and think it has a couple of...
Oh, it does. It's just not a ton of options. And going back to what you said about failings, it can't switch out. That's technically not true. I looked into it. Apparently, you can actually just give it an eject button, and you can bounce it that way. Typically, no, but I just wanted to point that out. You also have first impression in failings, which can really, really hurt.
My personal main issue with this team is I feel like Eldegoss is just dead weight, and therefore it's typing.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, the aromatherapy is nice, the rapid spin is nice, but it's really not fast enough to take advantage of that rapid spin.
Yeah, it just really doesn't do much other than sit there, maybe take a hit, and leave.
And is it not what most regenerator mons do? Is it not important to have a good Spadef mons rain team?
Yeah, but it kind of just...
Grass type to take water type moves coming in, or grass type move?
It just doesn't do enough, is what I'm saying.
That's fair. That's fair. It doesn't do enough, but I think it's a role that needs to fit on the team. And the fact that
It fits the role,
take
but...
it down with fire type move in that range, it's going to get pretty bulky.
It does fit a role. I'll definitely agree there.
I also do want to say this. Cotton Down is really good speed control for this team. He switches in the Eldegoss on a Mega Swampert from the Mega Swampert when he's expecting a grass attack. That grass mon, let's say it's a superior, takes a hit, it loses a speed, or, hits it, it loses a speed tier.
Bad example. You can take something like a Tapu Koko and it loses a speed. That's good. Superior with gains.
Right. Like I said, there's always comedy value when I'm here and talking about prep.
But yes, you get something like a Scarf Rillaboom,
And it loses +1 speed. It loses its effect of its Choice Scarf, and now I can turn. Hey, I'm now faster than you with some of my other mons. Reduce speed for the Dracovish. He's just red.
Yeah, with the Dracovish, I'll probably give the Eldegoss a little bit more than I normally would do, because I still think it's probably one of the most useless mons. But that's a personal thing.
Then you think of this team.
Yeah, with this team, it's not as bad as I'd normally give it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
What do you guys think?
Right, yeah, rating time.
Yeah, Inaria, you want to go first?
Well, just on the basis that it is literally a team that is Fishious Rend Incarnate, I would have to say just a solid A, honestly. It does have options outside of rain, but like it's pretty much 90% focused on, hey, let's do rain things.
And it does do rain thing real well.
It does do that real well, but that's why it's an A and not lower.
I'll give it that. I'm going to give it an A. It's pushing an A+. He's got top quality rain threats. And he can get it up in any way he wants, and he can bring something in that under rain scares you. It forces a lot of prep, and shout out that Zoroark right there. If you think that that's a Mega Swampert, and like we said, HP Grass is out of the game, so you think that's Swampert, and I need to grass knot that right now, and then all of a sudden it hits you with something else. Real strong off of 2 really good attack stats, both sides. It'll hurt. I think it's a good, tricky mon to have one. I'll give it an A.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm a little sad you pointed out that Zoroark. I was going to do exactly that. I really think that weather teams are where Zoroark shines, because you can just convince it it's your sweeper, it's your threat, and it's such a gamble. It's such a gamble. Is that this Mega Swampert? Is that the Heliolisk? Like it just really makes it difficult, and it gives you that coverage you're not going to have otherwise.
So what's that score then, Ava?
Sorry, that's an A.
It's a good A. It's a good team. It's a really good team.
game. We know what it's going to do, but it's going to do it really well. You have to stop it.
Yeah, this is how you do rain correctly, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right. Next up, we have the Winnipeg Volcaronas. I believe that's me this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty.
Hold up, let me find them. There we go.
So, the Winnipeg Volcaronas are coached by Blog8, another coach that's been here since the beginning. He's made it to playoffs 2 out of 4 times. He has a 17-16 record plus 8, which is good. It's not one of the best records we've seen, but it's good. But he's definitely a good coach, and he has a pretty good team this time. He's got Celesteela, Mimikyu, Togekiss, Araquanid, Dracozol, Female Indeedee, which we did split those because of the stat changes, Roserade, Rhyperior, Typhlosion, Regice, and Mega Medicham. This team is it leans heavily on the special defense a little bit, but it's really well balanced. And plus he has that Steel Fairy Dragon core in the Dracozol, the Mimikyu, and the Celesteela. Yes, Disguise has been nerfed, but Mimikyu is still a very potent threat. Celesteela is just absolutely disgusting. It was not meant to be up against Generation 8 Pokemon, and it kind of shows when you throw it out there. And then you have that particularly annoying Togekiss with Serene Grace. That's another Hax God. That's going to really just throw off a lot of answers to a lot of other members of this team. It's phenomenally balanced. It has a phenomenal type coverage, in my opinion, and really, this is just all around a great team.
The first thing that jumps up to me is that the speed tiers are really lacking.
Fastest mon is 100.
2 base 100s in Typhlosion and Medicham.
That's not great.
It's not great. But then, consider the fact that he has an Araquanid.
Yep, those webs are going to help.
Webs, and it will help it out. You have something like an Indeedee, where it'll set up psychic terrain, and you can't get priority moves against them. That's a good thing, until you also consider the fact that Medicham has, and like CU, its priority boost. On the other hand, Mega Medicham also can click that head button really hard. It's an interesting dynamic. I think it is missing some things. I think it actually requires a couple of months. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on the Araquanid. But that Fairy Dragon Steel Core, like you said, whether you use it with the Mimikyu or with the Togekiss, it's a pretty good core. It's a core you can rely on, and we've seen Mega Medicham put in really good work in this league.
Yeah, we really have. And the other thing I want to say is, yes, this team speed tiers are not great, but it has the bulk to make up for it. I mean, it's got that Rhyperior that can definitely take a physical hit. I mean, frig, it's got a Regice, which is 200 special defense right there on its own. So, I mean, maybe he doesn't particularly need it. And if I'm remembering right, Indeedee gets Trick Room, too, so the low speed tiers could even be a benefit here.
That's true.
We haven't heard much from you, Inaria. What do you think here?
Well, what I'm really thinking is Togekiss is literally the only way that this team removes anything.
That's true.
You're right.
It's Araquanid sets up the sticky webs, Ripe sets up stealth rocks, Roserade sets up the spikes, both toxic and regular, and that's literally it. You are relying on specific mons to get specific hazards up or away from the field. I don't like that.
That's fair, and looking at it, I really can't. At least he's got good priority options, but like Matt said, he may well be relying on Psychic Terrain, which kind of gives those priority options a problem.
Yep. Now,
I also don't see that Typhlosion coming very often, but sorry, I cut you off, go ahead.
Indeedee is good at being a cleric as well, which might help somewhat, but I don't really see status really being too much of an issue for this team, other than maybe a couple of toxics on some key mons like Araquanid or a burn on Mimikyu.
I mean, I could see a toxic on Rhyperior too. That thing is thick with physical defense.
Yeah.
Or physical attacks.
No.
Physical threats.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and I can also see it on that Togekiss too. Did you mention Togekiss?
probably not because I said Mimikyu, but I was meaning Togekiss as well. It's like I was mainly pointing out the main ones, like the top two kind of thing. Not I wasn't going through all of them individually. That'd take way too long.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I can't disagree. And when I was saying this was a good team, I wasn't looking at the hazard control down at the bottom. That really, really hurts.
Yeah, that's painful. The fact that it only has a one remover, and this is a team that's a Raquanin that has good bulk, but doesn't have a way to recover itself. Or use something like Typhlosion, like Eruption.
Yes, heavy duty boots are a thing, and we'll all talk about heavy duty boots are a thing. But Typhlosion wants that Specs or the Scarf to go with it and make that even more powerful.
It doesn't want to run the boots. And even then, like, with the 100 speed, it needs something to help it get going. So I think the lack of hazard could be really detrimental to this team.
Yeah. And I just want to say that Togekiss, his only removal option is weak to rocks. So you almost guarantee every week that thing is going to be running a defog set with heavy duty boots. Because that's the only way he's going to be able to safely get it in when he has rock set up.
Way too much of this team takes too much damage from rocks. Yeah, I definitely see Togekiss coming pretty much every single week.
Yeah, I'm going to take what I said back at the top. I thought this was a great team when I was looking at it because I saw that, the speed tiers weren't great. But, you got Trick Room, that's a good option. You've got a pretty bulky core. You got bulk down the board. But no, as we're talking about it, I'm going to have to roll that back a little bit.
Yeah, the fantasy core is fantastic, but everything else kind of lets it down a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good core, some good mons. I think it's just missing those last couple of things that can really bring the cohesion together.
Yeah, it just doesn't synergize really well.
This team with webs looks really good, but outside of that, does it have everything? I don't think so. I think this team is a B-.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree as well. It's not in the C territory. Like I said, it does have that fantasy core, but it's a B-. So, next up is the Elkhart Sawsbucks. And I believe that would be Inaria.
No, I'm not playing in your league.
Oh my god. I believe it would be your turn to talk about it.
I know, I'm just busting you.
I know.
Right. The Elkhart Sawsbucks, coached by Senya, someone I've had previous experience with and can bloody play well, even if sometimes gets in way over the head. Mentally.
Yeah, I could hear that. Sometimes overthinks some things, but it has some good experience. Can pick a pretty decent team.
I never actually asked, so it's kind of awkward when I've got to talk about people that I haven't really spent too much time with. But how should I refer to Senya? He, she, which? He.
Senya's a he.
Okay, cool. Like, I'd rather ask you guys first before assuming.
Yeah, we can take the lead on some of the pronouns here.
Thank you.
But you could take the lead on the mons.
Oh, for sure. And what good mons they are. You have Clefable, Kartana, Slowbro, Gligar, Mienshao, Vikavolt, Articuno, Diancie, Morpeko, Probopass, and Mega Charizard X. Now, what immediately jumps out to you, Haybot?
That the defensive Slowbro and Clefable are absolutely disgusting together?
Correct. But what I was going to say is the speed tiers.
Speed tiers leave a little something to be desired.
Yeah, I'd really rather that Senya had drafted something at least 110 or above with this thing, and there are some pretty awkward gaps.
There's an enormous gap here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100 down to what the heck's the next one? No,
So he has the 97, and then he drops to 85. And then from the 85 with the Articuno and the Gligar, we drop to Clef at 60.
Yeah, I really don't see Morpeko coming to too many matches either, so I kind of don't really count that one too much either. So 100 down to 85 is also a very worrisome thing.
Yeah. This team's almost forced to run Scarf because whereas the last team could, take decent advantage of Trick Room because everything was low, this team doesn't really have that because Kartana can't take advantage of it, Mineshout can't take advantage of it, and Charizard can't take advantage of it.
But Vikavolt and Diancie and Slowbro and Clefable could.
Vikavolt can also take advantage of having Sticky Web.
Yes,
so like that last team, it can use that, but I still don't like the gaps.
Yeah, the gap is what's getting me. You allow a lot of mons to run Modest or Adamant instead of Jolly or Timid.
Yep.
Removal. I do also want to point out that kind of with like one or two exceptions, everything on this team is either disgustingly offensive or disgustingly defensive. There's really nothing that can both give a punch and take a hit. I mean, Articuno's kind of an exception to that, but a lot of these mons are almost exclusively offensive or exclusively defensive.
That's really true. I would say Megazord X can also pull off a bulky set rather well, but yeah, Articuno and Zard are pretty much the only ones that can deal hits out and take them.
Clef can pull off a decent Magic Guard Life Orb set, but again, it loses a lot of its bulk that way. And Vikavolt, actually, it's decently bulky. It has roost options. It now has heavy-duty boots to save it from some rocks. It can be played around.
Unless it gets crit.
Unless it gets crit.
I think that goes for everything, though.
One thing to note, I actually was discussing with Senya during his draft. You might notice a lot of his team actually shares typing. Things like double fairies in Clefable and Diancie. Things like double steel in Probopass and Kartana. Things like double flying in Gligar and Articuno. Double electric in Vikavolt and Morpeko.
Is there really a reason why that's a thing? Because it doesn't sound...
There's not really a reason, but if you actually look at the type chart, it actually defends itself very well. Try to find a way through multiple of these mods. Outside of rocks, there's a big rocks weakness on this team. But outside of that rocks weakness, this team actually defends itself relatively well.
I have another one that would do... I have a single mon that would do a lot to pretty much this entire roster.
Being?
Mamoswine.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair. Well, Mamoswine can't always touch Vikavolt super well. You give it a Charty Berry, you kill it back with an Energy Ball or Flash Cannon.
True, but that's like specific sets. I'm saying based on the typing chart.
Also, hello, Slowbro.
Yeah, like that's fair, but I said most, not all.
You're right. You're super right.
It's like this team doesn't really have much in the way of answering rock, ground, and ice.
I disagree, I think, on the ground type there.
On the ground type, yeah, it can be argued because you've got the double flying and the levitating Vikavolt.
Plus, offensively, you have Articuno and Slowbro, I believe, gets Ice Beam, too.
Yeah. But, like, taking those types of attacks, it doesn't do fantastic with.
We'll say it's
Go ahead.
I was going to say, at least the weakness to rocks is not as exacerbated.
Oh, yeah, that's not super huge. It's just, like, taking it from Stealth Rock that's the biggest issue when it comes to the removal, specifically.
Well, he does have several removal options. Things like Morpeko getting spin. Kartana doesn't always want to run Defog, but it can. Gligar can run that Defog pretty well.
I think Gligar is going to be the main thing. Because
but you got something like a Boots Articuno, and it could do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with Boots, okay. That's fair, that's fair.
decent offensive options here too. To switch into Kartana and Megazard together, not many things can do. Zard, usually you don't want it to go against a bulky fairy or a bulky water. And what does Kartana get through? Bulky fairies and bulky water.
Yeah, this is a very good core. I will say that. You've again got this Steel Fairy Dragon, and you have 2 offensive ones and 1 defensive one, and frankly, I think the 3 of them work very well together.
Same with the Fire Water Grass, just replace that Clefable with the Slowbro, and again, they handle each other pretty well.
Yeah, no, I really think that the 2 offensive, 1 defensive works really well in both cores here, and that will make it decently difficult to prep for. This team has some problems, but it has a lot of good points, too.
Definitely. But how would we grade
where
it?
would you put it?
I'd give this one a B plus or an A minus. I'm leaning B plus. That hold of rocks is a huge issue. Yes, the removal options are there, but it almost forces boots. And those, I can't get over those speed tiers.
Yeah, it forces Boots or it forces Gligar to be the defogger. I don't really like it all that much. And the speed gaps are, that B plus.
B plus, I'd almost even drop to B. Big rocks weakness. And the attack is reliant a lot. Yes, Zard and Kartana really good together. You drop past those two, he's just gonna miss Mienshao high jump kicks. It's what he does. And Lickable, yes, has powerful special attack, but is slow, and will take that rocks weakness, and if it wants to carry the boots, it's not going to give us much back on the offensive end. We'll see. I think it's I'm going to go with a B. Drop it slightly below that B+.
That's fair. I can definitely see the argument there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'll drop mine as well. Just a little bit. That's a really damn good argument.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do the same, so... Looks like
Sorry,
a B down the
Senya.
board.
I'm so good at this.
You are, though.
Yeah, you should maybe join me as an official analyst.
Maybe I should. Shall we take a break here and catch back up in a few minutes?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
We'll see you in the next one. Who wants to do the outro?
I think you did.
Okay then. Just see you in the next one, guys.